Welcome to the Flipside.
The Flipside.
Woohoo, with Megan and Ryan. My name is Megan. I get to ask your questions to Ryan, who just
I am ready.
Shared an awesome
I'm ready
message
to
with
go.
us. So thank you.
Thank you guys for submitting your questions.
Yeah, and there's still time. If you are live and watching and you have a question, send it in or later in the week, and we will
We'll follow up.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you for doing that, Ryan.
Yo.
Shall we begin?
Let's do it.
Okay.
Let's get into it.
Question number uno. How can I show compassion to those who aren't trying to help themselves?
How do I show compassion to those who aren't trying to help themselves? This is a great question, because we all have those people in our lives that we look at and we say, you should be able to overcome this, or you should be able to work through this without my help or without too much struggle. I think one of the things we need in those moments is a good imagination. We need a good imagination to imagine how that person found themselves there, maybe the different complicated layers of how they found themselves stuck or how they found themselves in that place. An illustration, actually, that I didn't share in my sermon because it was going to make it all too long is a lyric from one of my favorite artists. He did an EP recently. His name's Heath McNeese, and he basically got inside the mind of a bully and tried to figure out why he was acting the way he was. And he came up with all these reasons why that bully could have been doing it. Maybe he was trying to get attention from his dad when his parents split up and his dad left. Maybe he was trying to impress a girl. Maybe he was actually like really in pain on the inside. And then the song ends up saying, like, I can't condone the force that you're using against other people, and I don't condone the force that may have been used against you that made you this way. And I just think it's a great picture of getting comfortable with how layered these things often are in people's lives, and having that imagination, because we're not God, we're not Jesus. He sees why everyone has found themselves where they are, but we really have to, in order not to judge others, we have to put ourselves in their shoes. We have to be able to have an imagination about why they may be struggling in the way they are, even though we may not have experienced the same thing. So that's my thoughts.
And like, how can we show compassion to those who aren't trying to help themselves was the question. And in a nutshell, it's the same way that we show compassion to those who are aware of their need, right? Like our role doesn't change.
Yeah.
Right? We're called to just be compassionate, even regardless of who's receiving it.
Exactly. Yeah, we can't control what's going on inside of someone else, but we can control how we enter in, and we can control how we relate to them. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
That's good. Question number 2. Okay, this one's good. I don't handle grief well. It's not my thing. How can I show compassion when those situations make me uncomfortable?
I think two things. The first thing is, it makes sense to me that if I'm not able to deal with my own grief or my own sadness or my own emotions, that it's going to be really hard to enter into that of others. And so I think the first step to being able to be present with others is to kind of continue to work on myself. And I had a counselor one time that I was meeting with. He was giving me advice on how to get through a breakup, okay? I was pretty sad about this one. And he said, Ryan, here's what you should do. You should sit in the middle of your room on the floor, and you should get a bucket of ashes, and you should just dump it on your head and sit and be sad for 30 minutes. That's what he told me to do. I didn't do it. I probably should have. But it was his permission to say, be sad, like be in the grief, sit in it and feel it, because that's the only way that it's not going to get shoved down or come out sideways. And so I just encourage you, when you feel grief, when you feel those strong feelings that you kind of just want to run away from, what would it look like to sit in it, to journal about it, to share it with someone else? And then once we kind of get more comfortable ourselves, then I think we can be more present with others. And then secondly, some of this just has to do with the definition of compassion that we talked about in the message, to suffer with. It is uncomfortable. it is uncomfortable in those situations to sit with people and not know what to say. And believe me, as someone who like technically is supposed to do this as my job, I still don't know what to do. I still don't know what to say. And it's just uncomfortable. And that's part of the suffering that you are taking on, to enter into it with that person and carry it with them. And so that's actually, I think that's like the heart of compassion, is when you are not like, this is not fun.
Right.
Like you are actually helping them carry it by being there.
And you said to join in and just sit with somebody. And a lot of times that's all that is required of us, to come alongside somebody in their time of grief. Even if I don't handle grief well, if it's not my thing, I don't have to fix it for you. Like I can just come and be near and share in that with you, even if it makes me uncomfortable. But, no one's asking you to fix the problem for them. And that's something I think that's important to remember. Like compassion doesn't require you to solve something. It just requires you to be with that person.
Sometimes you don't have to say anything. I often feel like in these situations, we often ask like, how are you doing? How are you doing? And we ask questions that kind of put the burden on the other person to like come up with an answer, versus one of the things I try to do is come in and just say, hey, I heard about this. It's incredibly painful. It's so hard. I'm so sorry that you're going through that. We're here. We're with you. We love you. And we're praying for you. Like put the burden on me to kind of like come up with something to say. I don't know if that makes sense, but when I've been hurting, a lot of times you get asked 20 times a day, how are you?
Yeah.
How are you doing? How's your family? But to have people just say, hey, I see you and I'm praying, or I'm here, or I love you, is all that it takes.
Yeah, that's so good. Okay, question number 3. How do you be friends with and help people who are difficult to deal with?
Difficult to deal with. This is one, Megan, that I wonder what your thoughts are off the bat.
Okay.
You're checking to see if there's any more.
Yeah, and how do I be? Yeah, okay, so I think it's kind of the same as our first answer. You don't change. You treat them the same way as you do a person who wants to be around you and who isn't difficult. I mean, that, right? Like, that's what is required of us, is to love other people well. And it doesn't mean you have to be best friends with them and you have to spend every day with them, because it's going to be draining on you. But to love them, you can love from a distance. You can love by praying over them. If they're really difficult to be with, that'll change your heart.
That'll change your heart real quick. Like pray for God to bless them. Pray that they would flourish. And
like you were saying, try to process in your own mind what the root of their difficulty is. Like, why is this person so hard to be with? Could possibly something like that lyric, whatever you were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Same
That's
kind
so
of
good,
idea.
Megan. I think the only thing I would add is this is an area, this is a moment where like following Jesus makes a difference. Because compassion is something I think every human, at least every American that I've met probably wants to be more compassionate, whether they are moving that direction or not. But I think when you're following Jesus, you have a higher reason, a transcendent reason for why you love people who are difficult, why you befriend people who don't give you anything in return. Actually, they might take from you, but because of what Jesus did for us, because of the compassion he's shown to me, who's the most difficult person, who's the most like, God did not have to chase me down and turn me back to himself, and yet he did. And that changes my whole outlook on life and people. And I think this is where your faith really kind of the rubber meets the road in showing that love to someone else.
Absolutely. That's so good. We do have another question.
Ooh, and that one came in. Thank you.
I feel like a fake when I don't really feel emotional with compassion with somebody. Should I fake it till I make it?
Should I fake it till I make it? I think, obviously, the phrase "fake it till you make it" sounds really bad, right? No one wants you to fake it till you make it. Like, just don't show up, right? Just like, no one wants you to be inauthentic. But I do think there's a sense in which those 2 action steps from the sermon, getting comfortable with people's brokenness, getting close to people's brokenness, that those things are not just the result of having compassion, but those things actually grow compassion in you. That's why they answered the question, how do I grow in compassion? I think that person who maybe you're saying, I'm uncomfortable with grief, I'm uncomfortable being near people, some of it is just doing it and becoming more, that's what helps you get more comfortable and not overwhelmed. Because you realize that what I think happens is like the floor gets higher for like how bad it could go. You start to realize, oh, this could be awkward, or it could be an awkward silence, or I could say something that's not right. But it's not really that bad. Like, it didn't go that bad. And I think the more that you start to step out in situations of compassion, the more compassion will happen inside of you. And I think that's something that's deeper than just fake it till you make it. But I think lean into the experiences that God has put in front of you to help you grow in compassion.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so good. And what a great time to practice it over the holidays.
Christmas,
when we are with a lot of broken people around us. So that's great. Well, thank you for going further and answering these questions.
Absolutely.
Thanks for sending them in.
I kind of enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Anything else?
That's it, Megan. Thanks for hosting the Flipside.
Absolutely.
Ooh, yes.
Oh,
so next Sunday, we're having just an online experience that you can watch at home, no in-person services, but there also will be no Flipside because that service has been pre-recorded. So,
One last Christmas Eve invite.
Yeah.
Christmas Eve, we are hosting a beautiful Christmas Eve service, and we would love to have you, your family, your neighbors, friends, anyone join us. And there are several different options for timing because, you got to plan it around your meals, right?
Of course. 3, 4:30, and 6. Invite a friend, as Megan said, a neighbor. It's going to be a great, great Christmas Eve and heading into Christmas.
Beautiful. Well, Merry Christmas. We will see you again soon.
See you on the flip side. Peace.